Wee, don't tell me you're at Mountain Lakes with all of your friends. Wee, don't tell me you're gonna start talking about craft beer again. We're cracking wise on random craft beer news, hanging out with brewers, owners, and maltsters, doing interviews. It's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show. It's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show, it's the Wee Wee Show.
From the Brewhouse Stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington, this is Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. I just got picked up to play the Fonz in a reboot of the popular 1970s sitcom. It takes place in the 50s and centers on a group of friends who hang out at a local pub. They're calling it Happy Daves. I'm Dave Basaraba, and here as always is your host, Chris Cindric.
Oh, thank you, Dave, and thank you, everybody. Man, do we have a sensational show for you tonight. Yes, Etienne DuVair and Brian Carpenter, a.k.a. Fro, from Brick West are our special guests tonight. Welcome, gentlemen. Woo!
What up? Thank you. Thank you for having us.
As always, I'm joined by Dave Basaraba and Tim Helton of Mountain Lakes Brewing Company. Gentlemen, what's the latest news with Mountain Lakes Brewing Company and the Spokane craft beer scene?
Well, Chris, we're getting ready for our St. Patrick's Day beers to be released, so that's pretty exciting. Yep.
Yeah. And what are we looking for there? What's that
well,
gonna be?
as last year, we're going to brew. We brewed our drums stout and our pipes golden ale. And as we did last year, our golden, we hope to can both of those. And if you happen to be a lucky person who gets one of the few special green beers, then you get take a picture of it and you get a discount on your next beer at Mountain Lakes. So that's pretty exciting.
All right, so some of them, you're selling them in 4-packs?
Yeah, with 2 stouts and 2 goldens. And if you get green ones, then you're lucky.
You got them last year. They were kilted cans.
Right.
They wrapped in a kilt pattern, and
right. They were
and then this year, because of revenue troubles, we're just not going to have any green beers.
No.
Yeah.
So,
save us money on the food coloring, and we don't have to give people a discount.
Oh, okay. So you're not. There's no green beers, but people might get a green beer.
You might.
I put some spinach in some of the cans.
Oh,
yeah.
So some of them might be green.
And then is that something too, where you could make a black and tan or half and half, however you want to call it?
Black and green. Yep.
Black and green.
Yes.
Yeah. It looks really good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Just mix it all in there. It's a slurry.
Sounds delicious.
Yeah. And nutritious too. Yeah.
Right. Yeah. It's like sponsored by Popeye. That kind of thing, the spinach.
Yep, the spinach. Yeah. I mean, and we're one of the few breweries that are brave enough to have a 100% spinach beer.
Yeah,
so.
Exactly.
Yummy.
For St. Patrick's Day.
Brick West's not going to do that stuff. So.
Yeah, you should sneak a little kale in there too while you're at it. That'd be great.
I don't know what you're talking about, Chris. That's a dumb idea.
Yeah,
come on.
Usual. Anything else?
What the kale? No, not really. Nothing going on. We're headed out. I mean, this will air after, but we're headed out to Palouse, Washington again for the Palouse Cabin Fever Brew Fest.
All right, when is that? Is that first weekend in February?
Yeah, first weekend in February. This will probably air after that, but yeah.
Are they sold out again like they normally do? Tickets
always
gone?
Yeah, already gone.
They've sold 600 tickets, and I like to think it's both the coldest and the drunkest brewfest in Washington.
Yeah, it definitely kind of seems to be, right?
Yeah, it might as well be Idaho. It's super drunk. It's awesome.
And so tell us a little bit about that again. It's called Cabin Fever, right? And,
Cabin Fever, Palouse, Washington, very small town, and we're just in back of the community center, and there's, I think, 10 breweries who go there, and...
they do it by invite only. This is their biggest fundraiser of the year for their community center in Palouse. And they used to do 3 or 4 events, and then they started doing this brew fest, and they realized that the other 3 weren't necessary anymore. And so it is like the coolest time. You're out in the snow. It's 11, 12 degrees outside. They have like fire pits and
everywhere.
10 breweries, and everybody brews something heavy and strong, and we have a great time. It's one of the most fun. And so if you can't get tickets this year anyway because it's sold out, but plan on next year if you can. And then, they got a shuttle that'll run you to Pullman hotels and everything at midnight. So it's a blast.
Yeah, it is pretty unique.
Definitely
festival.
plan on staying the night because you're not driving back to Spokane after all these 10%ers.
Well, to start the show off, we like to ask important people who work in the craft beer industry questions about what they do and how they do it. It's called Not My Beer. Please welcome tonight's Not My Beer guest from Spokane's very own Brewhouse Brewing Company, Etienne DuVair and Brian Carpenter.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Well, welcome, Etienne and Fro. It's great to have you on the show. So maybe to start out, you both have significantly extensive histories in the craft beer world. Can you give a little overview of what you've done and what you're doing currently?
You want to go first?
Sure.
All right.
Yeah, man. I got my start working for Growler Guys Tap House in Coeur d'Alene. Just kind of fell into this industry. Got pretty lucky. And worked for a number of breweries. Now starting at Brick West as of February last year. So it's been quite a fun venture. But yeah, I'm completely stoked to be where I'm at, growing a brand new brand.
Right. And when we first met, I think you were with River City, right?
Yes.
Is that right? Yeah.
Yep.
So, and how long were you there? That was the Todd Grove era, right?
Yeah. When I first started there, Todd was still head brewer, and it was May of 2019. Lasted till March of 2020, where COVID kind of shut that down. So spent most of 2020, unfortunately, on my couch until Brian actually reached out and asked if I wanted to get back to work.
Switch spots so I could go on his couch.
I wanted. I'm sure my couch wanted to break. So, yeah, it's been a blessing to be back working the scene and at a spot like Brick West. It's been great.
Great. And Fro?
I was at bars and restaurants for most of my life after 16, but at the Flying Goat when it first opened in Spokane in 2010, I believe, had the opportunity to work there, and that's kind of where I fell in love with craft beer and ended up helping John Sweat open up Republic Pie after that, and then got the opportunity to work at No Lie Brewhouse and went to One Tree after that, and then got approached about the opening of Brick West and if I could help out. So it was kind of a no-brainer to me. I love the cider and I love the One Tree guys, but beer's always been my passion. So
Very good. And so what are your roles there now? What is it you both do?
He does everything.
a little bit of everything, yeah.
Yeah. I'm just the feet on the street guy, man. I do a lot of the tap room event, or not tap room, but all the tap takeovers and outside events from the brewery, and do all the keg sales for the local Spokane and central eastern Washington and North Idaho. So, yeah, it just gets bigger and bigger the more I talk about it. But
Montana.
Let's go.
Not yet. I don't know. I also just I help out with a little bit of everything out there. So sales, operations, help out in the tap room. Kind of just whatever needs to be filled, and I think it's just kind of that way when you're growing in this market, especially after 2020 and beyond, is everyone's going to wear a different hat. You're going to have to do different things. You think you're going to do one thing one day, you will, and the next day you're going to be doing something completely different. So
Hog wild.
Yeah.
We go hog wild at the brewery, that's for sure.
And then when did you both first meet? Sounds like were you friends first, or did you work together first?
We
How
talked about that. I don't. He thinks he remembers.
Yeah.
That doesn't mean I remember. So
I'm the upset wife right now because I remember when we met. We met at the Arena Brewfest when it was in the parking lot in 2017. And I specifically remember because this dude with this monster hair next to me rolls up in a No Lie branded Bronco.
just killing the clutch, man. I can't drive a stick, and I'm just sitting there just hammering on that thing.
So yeah, he was one of the first dudes I met in Spokane. It was actually my first brewery event in Spokane when I was with a small brewery called Downdraft Brewing in Post Falls,
Oh,
Idaho.
yeah. Okay, yeah. I remember Downdrop. Been there. I went there a couple times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Were you guys immediately attracted to one another's hair?
Oh, absolutely.
I
Kind of like Velcro. Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
yeah. I mean, these guys work together. They're good friends, and they have probably the two biggest hairs in set of hairs in the industry.
You
right?
got the nickname, but when you pull yours out, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
When I just flop it out there, it's
not
all
really
over the
about
place.
size, is what I've heard, though. Correct?
I don't know.
Okay. All right.
I know. I'm bald headed, so you know.
What they say about the size of a man's hair, right, Chris?
Right. Yeah. It's like I'm not having it. It's not good. Not good for me.
My hair is girthy.
Yeah. So now, hair care products. Do you share similar? How do you maintain those hairstyles?
Well, he did mention that he shops at Costco, and so do I.
Love Costco.
Is that because your copious amounts of hair require
Absolutely.
copious amounts of product?
Absolutely.
And
Yeah.
was there a discussion before tonight's event where Fro was like, I'm the original Fro, so if you could just wear a beanie or something and tame yours down a little bit?
No, I was kind of hoping he would go all out, but I mean, here we are. So.
I got lazy today. I am sorry.
It's all good. So, Brick West just celebrated its 2-year anniversary, which is pretty awesome. It opened in Spokane's West End and the renovated Watts Automotive Building, and the focus was on, and is on, German beer styles and creating, based upon what your website said, is a world-class Pilsner, and that was primarily in the beginning under the guidance of Sam Milne, who was your head brewer at the time when you opened. Tell us a little bit about the journey so far and plans for the future with Brick West.
Yeah, it's definitely been a journey. You can call it that. So our grand opening was on January 3rd. And so that gave us about, who's counting, but March 16th of 2020, we shut down. So, just a little over, 10 weeks to get going. And we had a great start, and then we had to pivot our brand model as a whole in general. We kind of wanted to let it grow organic and just do a lot of draft and kind of just see where things go, and you kind of follow it. And when that shutdown kind of realized itself about April, when I was like, oh, this thing really isn't going to stop anytime soon here. So that's when we started researching cans and looking down that path and looking kind of a split system of, draft and can sales. So we actually released our first cans in August of 2020 and got into the local retailers, Yokes, Rosars, all that stuff. But that kind of changed the trajectory of how fast and where we were going to go. And, looking back on it, definitely it's been tough, but I'm kind of glad it just kind of accelerated everything. But with the all that included, Sam during that time realized he wanted to move back to the west side, be closer to family, and he's going to pursue his own thing and open up his own brewery, which is cool for him. We split on great terms, and we're excited for him to open up his own thing. Scotland Schaus, who at that time was our assistant head brewer, took over as head brewer and didn't miss a beat. He had about 5.5, 6 years of experience beforehand. Kind of just following some of the stuff the protocols and recipes we had in place at the time, and then now creating his own. A couple of which won medals at the last Washington Beer Awards, which was awesome. So shout out to him. And we're just kind of moving forward. And at this point, we're just kind of exploring our options for bigger. We have more tanks coming right now, but then bigger production facilities, and just kind of seeing what's going to happen.
Right.
So.
Yeah, I was surprised on how fast you moved into the can market. I figured that was maybe something you were looking to do all along, because you immediately were on the shelves where I was surprised coming out in 6-pack cans. Your Pilsner primarily was one of your focuses. So, but that was mainly a pivot.
Yeah, it was a total pivot. You kind of want to let that stuff, in my mind, you kind of want to let it sit and let people enjoy it and kind of get that name built up. But we were only open for 10 weeks, so all of a sudden we kind of had to sit there and go, well, now what? And once we realized it wasn't going to be over in, 2, 3, 4 weeks, I think those are the initial conversations we were all having during the pandemic, was like, okay, well, what happens if it lasts 3 weeks instead of 2 weeks? Like, what do we do then? And what month are we on now? What year is it?
Did it
What's
last
going
more than
on?
3 weeks?
Where am I,
I
man?
just say 2 years now. It's like, it's just 2 years.
Yeah, seriously, it was the same thing for Tim and I. We actually never planned on canning at all, and then there was we were ramping up. It was we were 2 years old when it first started, and we had basically bought a refrigerated cargo container and filled it with beer that was going to be our wholesale storage, and we were going to just start doing wholesale, getting our name out there a little bit more, and then we had basically a 40-foot cargo container full of beer, and COVID hit, and no bars were open. So we were like, oh, so we could just pour it down the drain, or we could put it in cans. And so we started canning with the mobile canner that Bellwether hired and a couple others, and canning on Lumberbeard when he had time, because he bought a canning machine like right away, because he seems to be wise about things. And so it's kind of crazy to see our beers in cans.
Interesting that we had a pandemic the same time you guys did, but this side of downtown.
Yeah, what a coincidence.
We had one too.
We should plan that better. Let's stagger it next time. So,
Yeah, so wait, so you're west, and what is the classification for where Mountain Lakes is? Is it a brewery district?
Well, technically we're the heart of downtown according to the map.
Okay.
Right.
Right.
Division and Sprague are sort of the markers if you want to get serious about it. But
There's not really a lot of downtown east of Division.
right now.
Right.
But the University District, we are in the University District now, and they're really pushing that. So
Right.
So you're kind of U district. I just think about when
we're the U District, we're the Me District, we're the All of Us District.
Right.
We're the Mountain Lakes District, we like to call it.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
Just use your
Yeah,
name as
that's
Lumberbeard's website actually says located in the Mountain Lakes District.
Right, exactly. Yeah. The land of the lakes.
That's right.
I heard rumors at one point that Brick West was looking to expand and move into Boise. Is that something that's true, or is that still in the works?
Yeah, no, we're still looking at that right now. It's still not going to be anytime soon. It's just going to be more of I think it's just an opportunity of two cities that are very similar. And when it comes to looking geographically and where to expand next and what market to fulfill, West Side has a lot of great beers and a lot of great breweries, and so does Boise. But Boise doesn't currently have the same number, if you will, but Boise's growing at a faster rate than even Spokane is. And we were talking about real estate earlier, so you can only imagine if real estate's this here, it's getting even crazier in Boise. So there's becoming a big market down there, and just trying to jump that before it becomes super saturated. Like the West Side kind of has a ton of breweries already. So
Take your time. I'm okay with it. Take your time.
so we got flights next week. So what I'm telling you is,
Mountain Lakes is. We're pretty Boise.
you
I
guys
don't
want
think,
to?
I don't think we have any girls that
You guys,
actually.
you guys coming on the next trip or what?
We don't have any females that work
Yeah.
for the company. We're mostly Boise.
I was drinking this bottle of beer with Chris Cindric the other day, and he's like, look at this is from Boise. I'm like, Chris, that's framboise.
Yeah. I always messed that up.
Framboise.
I learned what a lambic was. It was
Yeah.
like, oh.
Yeah,
that's
not
what
from
that
Boise.
is, not from. And I think
Yeah.
when you were talking, you're not pretty Boise. You're just pretty boys, right? Isn't that what you guys are? Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. There
Yeah.
You go.
I lofted that softball up, but we had to pause.
There you go.
The good thing about Chris's jokes is that they can be edited out at the end.
That's true. We kill them all. We kill them all. Yeah.
But he's the one who edits, so our jokes just get dropped.
All right, well, Etienne, I'm a big fan of Think Beer, the show that Todd Grove puts on KYRS Thin Air Radio. And the past couple of weeks in early January, you were on the show talking about the local Spokane craft beer scene. So I thought maybe you could give us a little overview, and Fro, chime in for sure. What are your thoughts on 2022 for the craft beer scene in Spokane?
I think it's gonna be an interesting year. We're definitely gonna see more breweries. As much as we think there's a ton already, there's already a few that are establishing themselves as coming out next year. I think it's gonna be pretty interesting on that end, with the prices of grain going up already, and hops are going up already. So it'll be a real interesting year with ingredient costs going up.
What happens if we run out, like we don't have enough money to do hops in all the beers anymore?
I guess
Seltzer.
you better start farming.
Seltzer, baby. We're a seltzer brewing company now.
It's all Gruit and seltzer.
Remember beer? Yeah.
You remember beer?
Remember beer?
Seltzers and ciders, boys.
Yeah.
I love the seltzer.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's just a pallet full of bags of sugar. Yep, that's our whole year right there.
You talked a little bit about. I know there are a couple up and coming breweries. Can you talk a little bit about a couple that you know are going to be opening soon?
Yeah, I mean we've got the guys over from Republic Pie and Flying Goat are establishing theirs. Fro probably knows a little bit more about those guys' project.
Yeah, they're going to be called Uprise, and it's going to be. I'm really bad at describing stuff. Ask Etienne when he drives in the car with me. Where are we going again? You're basically going to cross Maple, and it's going to be kind of look right over Maple Bridge, if that makes sense.
Yeah, kind of behind Kendall Yards in that old abandoned warehouse.
Yeah, and I think those guys are going to do a great job. And I think they're shooting for. I actually talked to them today a little bit. I think they're shooting June of this year, so they should be doing cool stuff. What's the one downtown again?
Common Language.
Common Language. Yep,
yeah.
Common Language is coming. Yep.
Paramore's going to open up a tap room here just down the street on Riverside.
Yep.
Oh,
Paramore's
really?
got theirs coming in Riverside.
Yeah,
Yep.
the 500 block of Riverside. So we're going to be neighbors.
They're going to be in the Mountain Lakes district.
Yeah, they're going to be Mountain Lakes District.
Wow.
We collaborated with them for the Lester Cup that starts February 1st. So, we thought that they would have their tap room open in time but for the Lester Cup, but they don't. So you have to come here to taste it.
The whole region, Chris, is called the Greater Mountain Lakes
The
District.
Greater Mountain Lakes, the Greater Inland Northwest Mountain Lakes District, right? Well, and then sitting in front of you right here, you've got Kevin Green, who is a world-renowned Spokane home brewer turned possibly.
He was pro brewer for a
Right,
while, and then
yeah,
he was
pro-
like, "Nope, not now. I'm going back to my own."
So then, maybe things on the horizon there.
Yep. Fun fact: Kevin and I are neighbors, so I helped deliver
His
a
baby.
wonderful
Oh,
mash tun to his carport.
I didn't know where that was going.
Unlicensed physician. So, I mean, Kevin's told me within the next couple of years, he's definitely got his project that he wants up and running off the ground, and that's super exciting. I mean, I've been helping him out here and there with home brews and watching him develop the last couple of years, which has been super awesome, and just watching the beers get better and better.
Yeah, it's exciting. I went to a party one time with my wife to your house. You might not remember this, but it was after. It was crazy because you had a sour in your kegerator that no one was supposed to drink, and some people went in and snuck it open.
I was there that night.
And the first
I was there as well.
Yeah, the first time that Kevin Green, I had any kind of interaction with him, is I was sitting there. I wasn't drinking the sour, but he came in and he was like, "You." It was like I just kind of sat there like I was in kindergarten, like I didn't even do anything wrong. But it was a sour that you had aged for a couple years, right? And yeah. So anyway.
and we made it a special occasion after that. We were like, "Oh, okay," and that's why he doesn't remember.
Right. So, but yeah. So anything else? Any other breweries or things of mention for 2022 in Spokane?
Well, I mean, we've got a few over in the valley that have been opening and moving spaces. So Bardic's got their tap room and cidery room up and going. You've got Natural 20 that's moved across the I-90 there.
Yeah.
Thomas Krusky's piece
yeah.
and open. Right?
Amherst Fermentation. When is he open?
Well, he's hoping for spring, but you know how that goes with permits.
Yeah.
And that was Emery's fermentation, right?
Yeah.
So, yeah. Right.
Yeah,
Okay.
him and his boy Obi, who's going to be running the kitchen, Jordan Obermeyer. Super talented chef. He's worked all over town. He's worked for Durkin's, so I know what he's going to be putting out is great. Really, really exciting for those dudes.
And
Couldn't be a nicer a couple of guys either. So.
yeah, sweet. Yeah. Cool.
Some predictions for the upcoming year in beer are pretty bleak. We kind of mentioned that. We are currently in what they're calling the candemic, this reduction in can availability and the CO2 crunch for CO2, which is significantly important for breweries. Experts say that can shortage might last through 2023 at least. How have you seen the effects of these supply chains issues already, and what does it mean for craft beer industry and consumers?
I mean, it's a really big question that I wish I had the answer to, because I think we'd be all in a better position if I had the answer to it. But the pandemic, I'll start there real quick, is the one I think that hit us the hardest, because us, you guys, just like everybody else, when the pandemic hit, we all pivoted and we go to cans. So then they're not ready, and then it creates a tidal wave. Well, here we are sitting here now, and now that we are in cans, now I sit here and look, how can we make getting in cans cheaper? And then the companies start raising the minimums. And so then you sit there and go, okay, well, now I have to keep labeling stuff.
Yeah, one truck was five trucks now.
Correct,
and
yeah.
Ball opened up 2 more facilities. One is already online. The second one is about to go online. That'll increase their production by 40%. But still, they're raising the price and making breweries that, like our labels, for people listening, our labels are done, a couple thousand at a time, and they're stickers, and they go on to the can after it's filled with beer. For bigger brands, it's printed by the Ball company on the actual can. So each label is considered a UPC. Now, Ball used to require that you order 1 truckload, right? One truckload
per
4,000 cans per UPC, and
Yep.
now they've just changed it to 5 truckloads,
which is
per
over
UPC.
1 million.
Yeah. So if you have 5 flavors that you regularly can, which most large production breweries do, you're looking at 5 million cans per order. And where do you put them all?
And they won't store them for you.
Yep,
right?
they won't store anymore. So they used to store at some points. If you'd order in quantities, they would store it to a certain point. Anyways, you kind of hope to build a brand that will eventually get to printed cans. Like if we're starting to go down that route, and now it just sort of seems unattainable. And so, luckily, I would say a lot of the local grocers and even regional grocers now, like at one point, wouldn't accept like labeled on stuff.
Right.
They'd be like, nope. You gotta have it like printed on stuff. Like if you were going Safeway, Albertsons level style stuff, and now everyone's becoming a little more acceptable. It's like, what you got?
Well, there's good news for little guys like us, because we didn't picture ever trying to compete for shelf storage space or shelf retail space. But when you do get to that point, you can have a couple flavors perhaps from a small, tiny little brewery, a hole in the wall that's just doing amazing things like Greenhouse Brewing or something, where they just like a couple flavors, but it's a sticker and they're allowing it.
Right. 2022 has kind of already made a splash. 2021 was kind of quiet for acquisitions. We had Bell, that we all know was moved on to, I forget who, Bell's Brewing. But what we've seen... Is it Constellation
Was it
Brands?
Constellation?
Is that who it was?
Yeah.
The Bells
Yeah.
went through?
Yeah.
But in 2022, we've already seen some acquisitions. The one that's gotten the most press this past week is the fact that Monster has bought out Canarchy Craft Brewing Collective this past week. What are your thoughts on that? With a non-alcoholic beverage company purchasing out for the first time a network of breweries.
I think there's going to be a lot more drunks punching drywall. But no, it's definitely going to be an interesting transition, man. I think you'll see a lot of bigger brands probably go for a little more adjunct beers, and you're going to see a little more of that fruit punch style beer come out.
So basically they're going to follow our trend?
No,
Because we're kind of known for we're kind of known for adjunct.
No, I don't mean I mean like more on those like fruity sours.
Oh, okay.
Definitely on the lighter end, because Monster is going to be more along the lines of lagers.
How do we get caffeine into beer? That's what Monster will figure out.
Well, yeah, right? I mean, that's
Join
the
up with
thing.
Four Loko.
Yeah, and Tim and I already brew with taurine and guarine and all the enes.
Chlorine.
Chlorine, lots of
Yeah,
chlorine.
it's really good. Saves money. You just go to the pool and get your water. It doesn't require any treatments. It's pretty good.
One question on that too, because with the buyout with Monster, what's interesting is with the Brewers Association, under the definition of a American brewery, which is a craft brewery, which is a small independent craft brewery, you can't be owned by a like alcohol company over a certain percentage. I think it's 25%. With Monster, this does not in any way, shape, or affect the craft beer regulation under the Brewers Association with Canarchy, right? It's Oscar Blues. Is it Wasatch Brewing?
Cigar City.
Yeah, Cigar City. All the three others that are under that are still going to remain under the definition of a craft brewery, as well as Monster owning them. Versus if AB InBev buys somebody, then they're immediately off the craft brewer list, and then they get shunned by the entire public. So, do we need a new definition, or will we be once again seeing a new definition of craft beer by the Brewers Association, or is that something you all talk about?
You bring up a good point, and I think it is talked about a lot. I mean, we get the Craft Brewers Association emails every, few days or whatever with updates and this and that. And usually, the one that sets the bar is Jim Cook. Boston Beer Company kind of sets the bar of what defines craft. So if he grows, everything else kind of stays craft. If he's at 60,000 barrels, isn't he?
Yeah.
Me too. I'm out of touch too, because when we first were looking at it, it was 60,000 barrels, and Jim Cook is 2 million and now 6 million. So anyway, my point is this: if the law says that a giant brewery can't own more than 25% of a small brewery and still potential, maybe we're not supposed to be attracting big breweries to buy out little breweries. We're supposed to be attracting someone in a different...
Yeah, like Pepsi Cola.
Yeah.
Which Pepsi right now is producing a high alcohol Mountain Dew with Boston Beer Company. And
Tim and I have really reached out to Skechers Shoes. We think they'd be a really good parent company.
Yeah.
Mostly because we just like wearing their stuff.
The thing.
But
I think the solution, Chris, is not to worry about the label and just to start bad rumors about any brewery that's bigger than us.
Right.
Like Brick West, I'm pretty sure they put whiskey in their beer.
Yeah.
I'm pretty
Just
sure.
in my cup. Just in my cup, man.
Depends on the time of day.
Yeah, those guys.
it can get crazy over there, eh?
Yeah.
With that, then, what's more important? Because now what we see is an exchange between people being uber conscious over breweries maintaining their independence versus being a craft beer or brewery. What's more important, to say that you're an independent brewer or that you're a craft brewer?
I don't think so. I think it has to be a combination of things at some point. When you have all these factors interjecting into each other, it's like, okay, at one point it was like, if it's not owned by AB InBev, then we're all good, right? We're craft. Now I'm sitting here looking at it, it's like, I think you need to judge if there's unfortunately a majority of people that don't care. It is what it is. But the people that do care need to know, look into who the people are. How does the liquid taste? What is their end goal? I think it has to be a combination of factors. And I don't know if you can just put a set limit like the BA does if you want to categorize something. I just don't think you can categorize it.
Yeah, it's weird putting arbitrary stipulations on a definition of something that really just comes down to how do you define authenticity?
Right.
Are these people really in it to be a part of their community and part of the beer thing, or is it just another business in their portfolio?
Right.
Yeah. When I have a problem is when a buyout happens and I see a slew of employees get let go. People that have been with the company from the building up. Now, we don't need to financially support these people anymore. We can do it without them.
Redundancies.
There's one brewery a few years back.
You can say it, I'll edit
Ballast
it out.
Point. We had a local Lagunitas rep. Great dude, too. Still a really good friend of mine. This last go-around where they finally finished off selling the other half of Lagunitas, they came through and wiped out almost half of their sales reps. They were down to about one rep per state. And when you just kind of have a sour taste in your mouth, I guess.
Yeah, when one rep is taking an entire state, what are they doing? Showing up at all of the 1,000 accounts and just making sure that there's a can on the shelf?
Yeah.
All right, hold on. I'm taking notes here. So what are we doing here?
Oh, look, there's our stuff. Thanks. Nice to meet you. I got to keep going because there's 1,000 to see every month.
But there is something, though, about the Ballast Point. I think is a good example because Sculpin is a great beer.
Yeah.
Drink that a lot, right? And then as soon as they were bought, I never bought one again. And I remember thinking, maybe I would buy it again because now that they're a big, big company, maybe those 6-packs will be cheaper. But no, they're still $14 a 6-pack. And I'm like, fuck that. I'm never having another Sculpin again. And I don't know why that is. It's just something that doesn't feel good about it.
Right. Yeah.
All right, what's the beer everyone should be running down to buy right now at Brick West Brewing Company? And you can name a couple, but what would you recommend if you're going to Brick West? What are you drinking?
I think because they have a Mountain Lakes beer on tap, it's going to be really good there. That's what I would get.
I don't want to screw this one up.
What's the freshest freshie that's on right now?
Don't fuck it up, man.
My go-to, my first thing I'm going to go to is going to be the Pilsner. That's always just a super light, easy, crushable option for me. And I think I have, over the years, come full circle, going from porters and stouts to IPAs and back to Pilsners and lagers.
And I personally think that's amazing because making a craft Pilsner, after you guys did it, Tim and I were like, well, let's give it a shot.
Do it.
Now, not just you, but a lot of breweries are putting out a craft Pilsner, and we make ours with a specific Pilsner malt that's malted by Link Malt out in the valley, and it has a lot of character. You can make a craft Pilsner, and I think people's minds are being blown right now, including myself. I taste them all the time. I'm like, oh, this one's great, this one's great. You can make a craft Pilsner. It doesn't have to taste like a macro beer. It doesn't have to taste like rice and...
Make you a crispy boy.
Crispy boys, yeah. I mean, that's one of my favorite things. Probably it's going to keep happening in 2022 is just the amount of lighter beers that are come out that we can all have 2, 3, and just sit down, talk our shit,
3.
and keep moving.
And buy a really good tasting beer from a brewery that you know, where the money stays in your local economy. I mean, these are all great things. I mean, we don't have to go into Huckleberry's and see 46 IPAs, a brown ale, a stout, and a red. That's it. I mean, we're getting a mix of everything. Any type of beer you want.
Yeah, the one with Lumberbeard was really fun. I like that one. A little bit lower ABV, so that's a little bit more speed. 6.7. The double hazy, though, people have been digging. It's about 8%. And we used a new yeast strain on that compared to our normal one, so it's really going to pop on that. And then with the guys with Lumberbeard, we used Spelt malt as well to make a little change on that. And I think it, in a good way, it just kind of makes all the backbone take a seat back and just go up on the aroma and the flavor. So,
nice.
Yeah.
Well, Etienne and Fro, it has been a true pleasure talking with you and learning about your story and the exciting things happening at Brick West and the greater craft beer scene. Thank you so much for joining us on Not My Beer.
For sure. Thank you for having us.
thank you.
Well, that wraps up the first part of the show, and when I'll take a break and be back in a few with Fro, Etienne, Tim, Dave, and an audience contestant for a little game we call Small Beer.
Welcome back to the Brewhouse Stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington. This is Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. I am Dave Basaraba, and here, as always, is your host, Chris Cindric!
Thank you, Dave. And now the game that tests your beer brain. It's called Small Beer. We've asked an audience member to step up for the challenge. Hello and welcome. Tell us your name and a little bit about yourself.
My name is Wendy.
Wendy,
I'm
so
going to win this game because
Okay.
I know so much about beer, but mostly just about how to drink it. So I can drink beer. If you need to know anything about how I drink it, I can tell you.
Okay.
Well, the
love
first
it.
question is, it's a 16-ounce glass. It's referred to as a...
Pint.
Oh, there you go.
Well, there you go.
And new one.
Math
won.
checks out, man. Math checks out.
I got it. Thank you.
So Wendy, W-I-N-D-I-E?
Yes.
Yes.
it
Okay,
is,
not
yes.
D-Y. All right. Very cool. Very cool. That's a unique name. Yeah.
Well, my maiden name was Jones, so my nickname growing up was Windiana Jones.
Oh.
Yeah, I know.
That's
I know.
awesome.
It's
Nice.
pretty awesome.
Very
Yeah.
good.
That explains the leather boots and the
Was your
whip.
middle name
This is
Anna?
a
That would
whip.
have been cool.
Yeah.
A whip.
the whip. Yeah.
Was your middle name Anna?
No,
Winnie,
no.
Winnie
Anna
Oh,
Jones. Then you would have been it.
Opportunity missed.
Yeah.
What is your middle name?
My middle name is Danger. No, just
Oh.
Danger.
Windy
it's
Danger.
Maryland.
Oh, right on. Sweet.
Yeah,
Dangerous.
same thing.
All right.
Well, welcome to the show, Wendy. Here's what we're going to do at this point in the show. Dave is going to read 3 beer-related questions. If you can correctly answer 2 of the 3 questions, you will be a winner, which in this case is free beer and a pint glass.
Excellent. Excellent.
So, Wendy, in this segment of Small Beer, your questions deal with pairing beer. So we know about pairing beer with food. This is kind of a unique way. Specifically, we have taken unique beer pairings created by the Pints and Panels award-winning cartoonist and advanced Cicerone M. Sauter, who does a lot of beer art. And we put them into questions for you. Are you ready to play?
Yes.
Well, here is your first question.
According to Pints and Panels, what is the best beer to pair with Easter? Is it A, Irish Stout, B, Vienna Lager, or C, Maybach?
I'm going to say it starts with A. I'm going to go with A.
Wait, maybe you should get a little bit of help.
Right.
Okay.
My personal opinion is that's wrong.
Okay.
So
Wait,
you
wait.
think this is beer pairing with holidays?
So yeah, think about when Easter happens and what season is Easter?
Spring.
And then the Irish Stout, the Vienna Lager, and
Irish
the
Stout was good.
Maybach or the Maybach. Which one is springy?
May. Oh, the hint was right in the answer.
So you're saying
Maybach.
All right.
All right. Hey.
You are correct. Yeah, this is a trickier little segment, maybe. The Maybach. What do you guys think? Did they pair them right? Do you think a Maybach would go well with Easter?
Yeah, I think a Maybach fits any time, to be honest. It's one of my favorite beers. It's delicious. There's a range of alcohol content, but it can be pretty good any time of year.
Yeah.
That's what I was going to say. It gets in trouble right there because it's usually 7, 8, somewhere living in that zone.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a seasonal drinker to the point to where I drink every season. So
Yeah.
And
Amen, brother.
either way,
For me, it's time
Amen.
of day, and Easter morning would be a stout for sure, but
Yeah.
it might go into the Maybach a little later.
A little later on.
Yeah.
That's very good. So, according to Pints and Panels, other beer pairing she said was Valentine's Day with a fruit lambic. Maybe that'd be good. Cinco de Mayo, obviously, with the Vienna Lager, which is the traditional beer of that morphed over into Mexican beers. Right?
The Mexican
Vienna-
lager, yeah.
the Mexican lager. And Thanksgiving with a Belgian triple. What do you think? Yeah, I think around that. Yeah.
It's kind of hard though to drink a triple after having a big Thanksgiving dinner. That's a
Yeah.
heavy thing.
I don't
Yeah.
need anything else to get me to pass out. But
Seriously.
That's right.
Can you imagine you're doing turkey, stuffing, gravy, mashed potatoes, and then candied yams and a triple?
Yeah, but then
Don't forget
Do you want to
Bottles of
wake up?
wine.
You want to wake up around New Year's after that?
it depends if Uncle Bill is there. I might need the triple.
That's
because you
true.
are hanging out with family.
That's true.
And so then the triple, higher alcohol beers around the holiday, I will never pass up.
that's usually the eve before Thanksgiving, though. Like, just
Yeah.
carry the buzz on through the family time.
Yeah,
Yep.
this is true. All right, well, here is your second question, Wendy.
Your second question pairs beer and sports. According to Pints and Panels, what is the best beer to pair with soccer? Is it A, the New England IPA, B, a Munich Helles, or C, a U.S. light lager?
B. Munich Helles.
That's correct. Right on. Whoa.
Right? I got soccer, yo.
Oh my gosh.
Right.
There was like no hesitation. She knew that
authority.
one.
I knew it was soccer. I just
She
wanted to make
obviously drinks while she watches soccer.
Right. So why was that so easy? What was the
Because it's European.
Yeah.
It's in Germany.
There you
so.
go.
Yeah, so I was wondering,
So happy
maybe we
I
should
knew
have
it.
said football.
Oh.
I would have still got it.
Yeah, footy.
Other sports that she talks about is hockey and a Baltic porter, which I think could be good in cold weather. Golf and obviously the Scottish ale. I mean, that kind of makes a lot of sense. And then cricket with a best bidder, I guess.
Is it bad I'm doing Keystone Light on all three? Man?
Yeah, absolutely.
Hammer fisting those?
Yeah, certainly. I think the Baltic Porter, because it's basically the iced version of a porter. Understood. Get it? I get it. But if you're just going to make that ice, that's sort of like a bad dad joke, right?
I was going to say Molson's probably pretty pissed that you picked that. But
Yeah.
All right, here is your third question.
Your third question pairs beer with weather. According to Pints and Panels, what is the best beer to pair with a heat wave? Is it A, Berliner Weiss, B, double IPA, or C, American Porter? Now, the American Porter is a little heavier porter.
You could maybe ask us questions about each of these
Yeah,
options.
if you're not sure, you could get
I can
clarified.
legit just ask y'all.
Yeah.
Y'all help me.
We will
Oh.
answer.
I thought I had to like secretly.
They
go.
want
We
to
could
win.
maybe
Okay.
describe what a Berliner Weiss is, if that
I
would
was
help.
picturing it being like more light and refreshing.
Yeah, light and
Yeah.
refreshing.
Maybe
Often
tart.
Highly
Tart,
carbonated,
if you will.
sparkling.
Sometimes
It's like a
served with
nice
raspberry
summery
a
syrup.
little bit tart,
Yeah.
sometimes served with some specialty syrups. Yep.
maybe a patio pounder.
Good answer. Hint.
We're not talking
Double
about your
IPA
nicknames,
is
bro.
not that.
Subtlety.
And, a porter is not that either.
It rhymes with
Edelweiss.
yes. Yeah. Exactly.
All right, what do you think? What are you thinking?
I'm gonna go with it.
Yes.
Advice.
There we go.
It is the Berliner Weiss. Does Brick West do you guys do a Berliner Weiss? I mean, that's a very German,
We do a
fall-
Goza.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's
I think the
German
most famous
sour.
Berliner Weiss in the Inland Northwest, honestly, is probably from Paradise Creek. It's probably the most well known.
Yeah,
Yeah,
probably. Yeah,
yeah.
I would agree.
The Huckleberry
Yeah,
Pucker.
The Huckleberry Pucker.
Yeah.
All right, so some other related beer, according to Pints and Panels, is Sunny and Kolsch. So if it's sunny outside, drink a Kolsch. You'll like this, Windy and a British brown ale. So there you go. Maybe that's your beer.
why not?
And-
Does Wendy like British brown ales?
No.
So it's false.
Well, so much for that. And then also Thunder and a Dunkelweizen. So maybe that's good. All right, well, Dave, how did Wendy do on our quiz?
Well, it was 3 for 3, so that's obviously a win.
Yay! Wendy, thank you so much for playing. We'll now take a break and be back in a few with ATN Fro, Tim, and Dave, and a little game we call Brewers on Tap.
Welcome back to the Brewhouse Stage at Mountain Lakes Brewing Company in downtown Spokane, Washington. This is Wheat Don't Tell Me, Spokane's craft beer live audience show and podcast. I am Dave Basaraba, and here, as always, is your host, Chris Cindric!
Well, thank you, Dave. And now for a game we call Brewers on Tap. Throughout the night, our audience members have had the chance to write down a question for one, a few, or all of our panelists, and we've chosen a smackerel of them to ask our panel to tap into some of that brewer and owner knowledge. Let's get started, shall we? Here's a question to begin with. Did you have one moment that sparked your current career, or was it more gradual? Was there a spark that kind of led you into the craft beer world? And I think this could be for everybody, or was it kind of a more gradual process?
I'll let someone else start. Yeah.
Yeah, man. I started home brewing right as soon as I turned 21. I had never had a craft beer in my life before that. But yeah, it was at that moment I thought it was a great idea to get into the craft beer game. Little did I know it was going to be another 5 years before I did it, but was sitting in a tap room one day, downdraft, and the owners overheard me just sitting there at the bar, the loudest person there, and they asked me if I ever wanted to sell beer.
I think about a story when I was a freshman in college, having a beer that I enjoyed. The first beer I was like, this is fantastic, was Harpoon Ale in Boston. And,
Hell yeah.
my brother happened to be friends with a guy who brewed there, and I was talking to him, and I tasted it, and I thought, wow, this beer is great. It tastes bubbly and sweet, but also hoppy. And then I thought, wow, there's this almost like cherry sweetness to it. And the brewer was like, oh, it comes from this California ale yeast, and we started talking about it. And every beer I tasted from that brewery, I was like, oh, you really taste that yeast, and it's really prominent and everything. And from there, I just loved beer and really got into brewing beer. So that was probably the end of everything that could happen to me, because I drank a lot of beer and got into brewing after that. So,
But you got really good at darts too, right?
yeah, which I've made dozens of dollars at darts throughout my life and beer, and so yeah, everything I owe in my life is from that Harpoon Ale. So,
Do you still remember the first beer you brewed?
yeah, I remember. I think the first beer I brewed was a stout, because the guy at the homebrew shop, who later became my boss, said, you know what, if you suck at this kind of stuff, you can still brew a stout and it will taste okay. So, and I brewed a stout and it was pretty good. So, yeah.
I remember Lucky Labrador on Hawthorne in Portland, and it was one of the breweries that accepted my fake ID at the time. And so then it became one of my favorites. And I think the statute of limitations is over on that.
I think we've all got clean slates here.
Yeah, we can discuss it now. But I remember going into Bridgeport.
I'm out here still running.
Bridgeport was like kind of tossed me out, and we're like, no, but you can have your ID. Go have fun. And then we went to Lucky Labrador, and we had a great time there. And they had a pale ale on, and I was like, this is awesome. And then I tried, I think they had a red, and I fell in love with that beer. And I was like, oh, what's the difference between these two beers? And I started talking with the guy behind the counter, and he was like, yeah, and we brew it over here. And I just kind of fell in love with the whole process, and then went to a homebrew shop like literally 2 weeks later and started my first mash on a hot plate in my dorm room in Shipsat Hall, University of Portland. And yeah, I was 19. I was making alcohol, and it was terrible. All my friends were like, this is amazing.
It's free. It's free.
Yeah, it's virtually free.
I just remember the first two beers that turned me on to craft beer, though, too, was Stone IPA and Ninkasi Total Domination. And that's when I realized I didn't really need to drink Bud Light anymore. And ended up working in craft beer bars, and I do love solving a puzzle. And so once I got on the supplier side, I like working on all the angles of everything, like how do we make this delicious beer that's different than a light beer, and how do we get it to consumer? So,
yeah. So you jumped right in, American IPA, boom.
I was actually watching
big.
hockey. I mean, kind of the other question before. I was like, no, it doesn't really need to be Molson or anything like that, man. You just take an IPA straight to the dome piece.
No, it does.
Okay, all right.
Recommended shower beer. And also, while you're doing that, can you give us some, he wants a little bit of notes on what shampoo and conditioner you actually use while drinking your beer and shampooing your hair in conditioner.
That's great, because I actually use the beer. I use my same favorite beer to condition, Pilsner Urquell. It's great for the lips. It's great for the hair.
That's why you smell so good.
Chris, I need some
Damn.
clarification. Is shower beer meaning you drink it in the shower, or that you shower yourself with a beer?
No, it's the one you
Because I've
drink-
done both.
Yes.
Yeah.
The one you drink in the shower, and then while you're doing that, what is the shampoo conditioner? You all have hair, so any of you can answer.
Well, I have a specific beer refrigerator just in the bathroom, and it's only Pilsner Urquell. That's it.
Very good.
That's it.
It's a good
original.
choice.
In my earlier days, it would have been a PBR. I also used to use...
But now it's 2 PBRs.
Yeah, definitely. I believe that just about any beer is a shower beer. I do not discriminate when it comes to drinking in the shower. All beers are welcome in my shower. And it used to be Redkin, but now it's Kirkland brand.
Kirkland brand, really? Yeah.
Bro, it's salon quality shampoo and conditioner.
Not Kirkland brand beer.
That might still be Redkin. We don't know yet.
Yes.
Repackaged.
Yeah.
Sponsored by Apple.
Here's a risky question. What's the best brewery in Spokane?
Ooh, risque.
Brick Best.
The best brewery in Spokane is the one you're at.
That's right. That's the best answer, yes.
Dude, that's a Keanu Reeves answer.
Oh,
That
come
was
on.
Totally. No, what's Keanu Reeves is brilliant.
Yeah.
You ever seen him on? Yeah, I mean, he's.
I
like,
have.
That's brilliant.
He actually
That's the one you're
seems to care about the answer that he's giving.
Yeah.
It's not just off the cuff.
Yeah. So that was brilliant.
That was brilliant.
That's great.
And
So- yeah.
that's just great.
No, I mean, I believe it too. I mean, the experiences that people are delivering here in town now at this point is, whatever's close, whatever's your hometown brewery. To me, that's the one. Make it your own.
There's a reason after the past 2 years that all of us are still here standing and our doors are open. Is because we all have something great to offer the community.
All right, here's one that I'm hesitant to ask, but it says, "How does Tim always look so handsome in the morning?"
Yeah, it's a
Is it hard to read? Is it almost illegible?
No, it's pretty
Oh,
clearly.
I was going to say that maybe it was Tim that wrote
No, Tim didn't throw one down.
Yeah, it is a lot of work. I'm not going to lie, I work at it, and so don't hate me because I'm beautiful,
Follow-up question they ask are you really from Boston and are you related to Paris Hilton?
Yeah, well,
Fair
I mean,
questions.
I'm from Massachusetts. I grew up about 40 miles south of Boston, and I have a uncle who sort of studies gerontology stuff and not gerontology, genealogy, and he told us that we shared like a great grandfather or something, or maybe at 3 greats or somewhere. We're somehow related. All the Hiltons in the world are basically related.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
So you are related in some capacity.
Well, he also owns a dog named Paris Hilton.
This is true.
That's true. Yeah,
That is
I
true.
got to tell you, we're related, but not too closely that I didn't see the video. That's what I want to say.
That's hot.
All right, well, let's lighten it up with this next one then. Do you have a favorite popcorn flavor topping? Because you have a bunch.
Oh my
here.
gosh! So we opened up, and Tim and I both agreed that we like bars and breweries that have popcorn because it's just the most delicious snack to have with beer. So we were going to have the popcorn machine. That was definitely a thing. And then we started flavoring the popcorn and having different flavors. And my kids brought dill pickle, and I was like, "That's disgusting." And then I tried it, and I was like, "That's the best one."
Agreed. Dill pickle is fantastic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's so good on the popcorn.
We started going to the what was the bar over near Brown's Edition we used to go to with the popcorn?
Andy's.
No.
No.
The it's torn down now. It was
No.
The swamp.
The swamp.
The swamp. We used to have popcorn and flavorings at the swamp.
Oh my gosh, that's where we got the flavorings idea. That's what it was. Yeah, the swamp.
Brewer's yeast is another one that people add to popcorn
Rest
a
in
lot.
peace to the swamp.
Yeah.
Portbacks.
I miss that place too. I miss the swamp. Dude, we're gonna stay here we're just gonna talk about the swamp for another hour.
I mean, it deserves more, but
It does,
I'll stick around, man.
Like
It's all
seriously,
good.
like what an amazing staple of a community that unfortunately is gone now.
Yeah.
That ushered in a lot of craft beer drinkers too.
Totally, and we
did.
used to all end up down there, like at different times where I'd just look around and like all these guys who I knew were home brewers, professional brewers, everything. Everyone was down there, and then sitting out on their patio, which is probably one of the coolest patios Spokane had for a long time.
Feeding the fire, watching
Feeding
the
the fire,
train,
yes.
right?
smoking 9 cigarettes.
Yeah.
Just me.
Yeah, I didn't smoke any of them, honey, if you're listening. I had none.
So, and then we lost the riff. So the swamp's gone, the riff's gone.
Yeah.
No
Rest in
more
peace.
dollar pints of Bud Light. You're like, right? Yeah. Sad. All these craft breweries coming in, taking over all the good stuff. Man.
What assholes.
I know.
Seriously.
All All right, so just to keep it profane, this is specifically for Etienne.
Fucking
From
great.
Eddie.
Which, fuck, marry, kill. Which brewery? Lagunitas, New Belgium, and Ballast Point. Which would you fuck? Which would you marry? Which would you kill?
Is this-
Lagunitas, New Belgium, and Ballast Point.
Is this an Eddie question?
I have no idea.
No, this was Brie.
We have the three breweries again are Lagunitas, New Belgium, and Ballast Point. Which would you fuck? Which would you marry? Which would you kill?
That's a rude question.
There's one right answer.
Yeah. Oh well. I mean, Ballast Point at this point is going to be my kill.
Okay.
I will say I'm a sucker for sours, so I'm probably going to marry New Belgium,
Okay.
and I'm
As
definitely
you
banging
should.
it out with Lagunitas.
Yeah, that one
No.
time just for
that
the Willet.
dirty
just
hippie
for the-
brewery.
Just for the Willet or the 420.
Get yourself a little something.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
Lagunitas is not who I'm going to bring home to mom. All right, so
You caught yourself a little something.
She's a nice lady.
Well, folks, it's closing time. We are past the midpoint of dry January, the month where many make New Year's resolutions to try and cut back on alcohol consumption. Many folks are sober curious, a movement focused on understanding your relationship with alcohol and how to make your life healthier. In the craft beer evaluation class I teach at Eastern Washington University, I begin the class by asking students to reflect on their relationship with beer. I ask them, when did you meet? How did you meet? How often do you hang out? Where do you typically hang out? What do you do when you hang out? What do you most like about your relationship? And what do you like least about your relationship? And where do you want this relationship to go? Personally, I think it's a positive step for the craft beer industry if more people take the time to explore their relationship with alcohol. Low to no alcohol craft beers are on the rise, and now many tasting options are available for people looking for positive, healthy relationships with beer. It can only be a positive step to help craft beer industry advance in a positive and healthy direction. Ladies and gentlemen, that's our show for tonight. Thank you. Thanks to our special guests, Brian Fro, Carpenter, and Etienne DuVair of Brick West Brewing Company, and to Dave Basaraba and Tim Hilton of Mountain Lakes Brewing Company. Thanks to our wonderful servers, Brian and Tom. And thanks to all of you for being here. I am Chris Cindric. Good night and joy be to you all.
Drink up.